name is Pulkit Datta. I am the Artistic Director of ISAF. This is our final day. We have a day jam-packed with amazing films today, so I hope you join us for everything today. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that our event takes place on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish First Nations, the Musqueam, Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh Nations, as well as the Katsi, Semiahmoo, and Kwanza Nations. Each year, September 30th, which is tomorrow, marks the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. The day honors the children who never return home and the survivors of residential schools, as well as their families and communities. ISAF is a testament to the collective efforts of a community that believes in the power of South Asian narratives. Our theme this year is Crossroads, which celebrates South Asian cinema and culture as a hub and a place where many roads intersect. I'd like to give a special mention to our platinum sponsor, RBC. Our gold sponsors, Admi Group, Allure, Creative BC, Canada Media Fund, Telefilm, KPU, City of Surrey, and the Warner Brothers Discovery Access Canada. All right, we are here today for the North American premiere of The Glassworker. Super exciting. Directed by Usman Riaz, who is here with us. Yeah, exactly. But before that film starts, we're going to start with two other short films, also beautiful films. There's Dancing Tamal, which is by Nimisha Mahatme, and then Cul-de-sac, which is by Satriya Prahasto. Those filmmakers could not be here, but I hope you enjoy their films. And then after those two short films play, there's a little making of video that Usman wants us to show you guys about how he made The Glassworker, and then we'll watch The Glassworker. So it's all going to be back to back. Stick around for the Q&A afterwards. With director Usman Riaz, moderated by Abu Bakr Khan, who is the tallest man in this room, so you can't miss him. He's right there.
In the world.
In the world, tallest man.
That's not true.
And I believe there'll be a very special announcement that they're going to share with us during the Q&A, so definitely stick around for that. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Thank you, everyone. This is amazing for us. This is actually our first animation feature film that we're presenting, and we're so happy Usman's here. He's got a great history in Vancouver and in Surrey, and we're so looking forward to representing this film in the new decade of animation and how it's become such a revolution now. And just the fact that it's taken him so long and he didn't want to just use CGI to make this kind of impact, and how beautiful was this when it came to explaining the war or what's happening in the world right now, or even the beauty of relationships. I'm commending him for his work. A big round of applause for him. Thank you.
Right, we know who you're here to hear from, so I'm going to pass it on to Abu Bakr Khan, who is an ISAF alum, a cherished community member, and also a film producer. He will take it over from here. Thank you so much.
You are not here to listen to me, so I'm going to bring up Usman, please.
So, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, Usman, you said to me that you wanted to make a beautiful film that made people feel, or moved people. Would you all say that that moved you? Just like what Manu was saying, or what Pulkit was saying, this festival, I came here in 2017. It was the first ever film festival I've been to, right? So shout out Manu and the team. But for you, I learned that you were a child prodigy musician, right? And you've been here before. Please tell me about that, because there's also a weird name in this movie that I kept looking into. So please, tell me a little bit about your journey.
Thank you. So, yeah, we were both discussing that it's like a full circle moment for the both of us, this being your first festival that you ever attended. And for me, I've been frequenting Vancouver since 2014. I've been a TED Fellow and TED Senior Fellow since 2012. And TED shifted to Vancouver in 2014, and that's right about the time where I was actually developing this film and coming up with ideas. And so when it came to naming the town, the Vancouver Convention Center has this underground walkway that leads to the Fairmont Hotel. So I was walking along that, and I went through the food court, and as I walked into the hotel, there was a huge sign that said Fairmont Waterfront. And I was like, well, I can't use Fairmont in the name, but I can use waterfront. So the waterfront town that you see in the film, that was from the Fairmont waterfront, the waterfront that's there. So yeah, been coming to Vancouver, and I'm grateful that I could share the film with all of you here. So thank you for having me.
So basically, if Usman had gone on the SkyTrain and he came to Surrey, it would have been called like Pyle Business Center, or it would have been called like Newton. You know what I mean? Like if he just went on the SkyTrain to Surrey, things would have been different. Well, we're glad that it was waterfront town. Now, you were telling me about this 10-year journey. 10 years.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm sure everybody can go on, Mid-Journey, make a photo in 3 seconds. How I met Usman was that we were in Cannes. We sat for like 5 minutes together, and I asked him and his cousin this question. I'm like, how did you guys continue on for 10 years? You remember what you said to me?
It was an extremely difficult journey, absolutely. And yeah, I'm grateful I met you at Cannes. And what we were discussing was that each time everything became difficult, there was always a milestone that we hit or some sort of miracle that literally happened for us to keep going. And I'm always grateful to God for that. And this film was made purely on faith. I kid you not, because it was so difficult to get something like this done in Pakistan. We had to train every single person while also learning ourselves on the craft of animation and how exactly I wanted the film to look. I storyboarded the entire film, so animation is a little different from live action, where obviously you can get multiple takes from your actors and in editing put it together, which is an amazing process in itself. In animation, you don't have that luxury. The animation is the animation that you have to put in, and you cannot extend the shot. You can only decrease its timing. So I had to be extremely precise on exactly what I wanted to unfold, to show unfold on screen. So it was very difficult, but I worked with a phenomenal team in Pakistan and a phenomenal team internationally to bring this vision to life, and I'm very grateful.
Look, I can draw stick figures, and I still can do the graffiti S, which is surprising. I don't know who else can do the graffiti S here. Okay, there's a few people. But Usman, the question is, look, you were in Japan, right? You could have gone to France, you could have gone to the US. I want to hear a little bit about the journey to seeing your heroes when you were trying to make this film in Japan, and why ultimately you ended up making it in Karachi.
So the project started in 2014, where
Vancouver. Remember this.
Yes. And next year I came to Vancouver in 2015, and for the TED conference, and I was roaming around the conference floor with my portfolio just filled with drawings, writing to every single person attending TED about this animated film that I'm working on. I was 1 year into the project, and I was able to convince the organizer of TEDx Tokyo to allow me to come to Japan and talk about this project, because Japanese animation holds a very special place in my heart. Wound up going to Japan, giving my talk about the project, and magically got invited to what I feel is the greatest animation studio in the world, Studio Ghibli, and I just burst out crying when I was
Has anybody here heard of Studio Ghibli?
Yeah. They were instrumental in the development of the project, and a very kind man who was, his name was Shin Hashida. He showed me around, and Hayao Miyazaki was there, and everyone was very scared of him, so we were kind of ducking under chairs so that we didn't get in his way. He was working on a short film called Borrow the Caterpillar at the time. And it was just amazing. And when I sat with Mr. Shin Hashida, he said, after seeing my storyboards and looking at the work, he said, "You're clearly talented and you know what you're doing, but I wouldn't recommend you make this film in Japan. You should make your own studio and make this film, because you would have to first just work in Japan, gain experience here, gain everybody's trust, and then maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line, maybe you will get to make your own film." So I joked that maybe he was just trying to get rid of me because I was sitting there and just crying constantly. But I took that advice to heart and came back to Pakistan, and we started Mano Animation Studios, co-founded by Mariam Paracha, my wife, and I. And my cousin Khizar is the producer on the project and a partner in the studio. And it's been a crazy 10 years, but here we are with the finished film.
I like how, so if you go on YouTube, you'll see that he made a 12 episode docu-series as well. Actually, there's a quote that you use. You want to say that quote from a famous bodybuilder?
So Arnold Schwarzenegger has this amazing quote, which is that do great things and then advertise, advertise, advertise. It's important. You have to get the word out there. I wanted to document the entire process of how we are making this film in Pakistan. Again, when I started documenting it, I didn't think it would take 10 years. I was 6 years into it going, my God, when is this going to end? But I still kept documenting everything. And yeah, the documentary is on YouTube. It's called The Making of the Glassworker. The reason I wanted to put it up on YouTube and not make it a whole other feature out of the documentary is that I learned so much from behind the scenes documentaries. That was my favorite thing to do. I would buy DVDs of movies that I loved, and of course I've seen the movie multiple times. So the first thing I would do is start watching the special features. And back then when DVDs were new, they put a lot of care into the special features. I remember the Star Wars Episode 1 DVD where George Lucas just talks through how he made the entire movie. And then, of course, if everyone's familiar with The Lord of the Rings, the extended editions, the behind the scenes in those were like 12 hours long. I could see every single aspect of production. And with animated films as well, like Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, which is Hayao Miyazaki's documentary that came out in 2012. So I'm a student of film. I love cinema, and I learned from those. So I wanted to make a behind-the-scenes featurette like the ones I grew up watching, which can show everyone, without giving too much away and making it boring, everybody the process of filmmaking, the highs, the lows, all of that. So I tried to capture all of that, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Check it out, because at the beginning he looks at the camera and he says, "How hard can this be?" And then
Yeah.
you just like see, you're like, "Oh, this guy's getting beat down." I felt, yeah, it was tough to watch. Amazing watch, but tough to, when you're in the journey and you're in the trenches, it's definitely not easy. A question I had for you was, you made this film and it seems like it's more commercial. You could have, made it about Karachi. You could have made it about, the people in Karachi. Why did you choose to make it about, well, we know Vancouver, a waterfront town, again, boring, man, Surrey's where it's at. But why did you choose, to make it like that? And when you released the trailer, what did you find was interesting when the trailer was out there?
So it's interesting, throughout this process, whenever somebody would see the film, they would question why I didn't base it in Pakistan. And the reason I didn't do that is because I wanted the messaging of the film to be at the forefront. The film is an anti-war film. I wanted to show how war affects people, and that it's the people who always suffer, and regardless of whoever the victor is. And I knew that if I based it in Pakistan, the messaging would have been that it's Pakistan versus, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be a much broader idea, and by making it a fantastical region, we could talk about those things much freer. And that was always very, very important to me, because, and there's this wonderful line for the film that Mariam wrote, which is that to be an artist, one must create, because without art and music, what do we have in this world full of conflict and war? I truly believe that these things are worth protecting and preserving, and the reason we even fight is to preserve culture and all of these amazing things that the subcontinent is known for, and I wanted that to be sacred. So that's why I didn't base it in Pakistan. And the most amazing thing happened, like you said, when I uploaded the English trailer to YouTube. The film is also in Urdu. I planned the film as an Urdu film, and we did the English version and then completed the Urdu version. But when we uploaded the English trailer, I knew that the most amount of views would obviously come from North America, because that is the largest consumer of this sort of animated content. So the number one you can see the analytics in YouTube. So the number one country was America, and then the second, which I thought would be Pakistan, was actually India. And there's so much love and support coming from India. I'm just so grateful. I would love to release the film there at some point. I know Maula Jat is releasing in India now, so
Very different film.
of course, but the fact that it is releasing in India is a big deal, and I would love for the Glassworker to be seen by animation fans in India, and they've been so incredible incredible. If you go to the comments in the English trailer, there are thousands of comments, but like every 2-3 comments is from India saying love and support from India. And there's one comment in particular which I loved. It said, divided by politics, united by animation. That was just amazing. It was amazing.
It's an amazing line, and if you look at Usman and all the work that him and his team did in Pakistan, again, it's like you could have outsourced it. You could have gone somewhere else. Japan kicked you out because of your crying, in a sense. Right? But the fact that you did it there, how do you feel about this announcement that happened while we were here at ISAF? We literally had the announcement on Thursday.
Yeah.
How do you feel, and you want to share the announcement with the crowd?
So while we were here, the Glassworker was...
Hold on, no, not while we were here. You were on a plane for
yes.
32 hours. This man is like, he came straight from Karachi all the way here. You're stressing out. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was an awful flight because it was so long, and we were waiting for this announcement to come out because we wanted to share it with everybody here. And thankfully it came out on Thursday in Variety that the Glassworker has been selected as Pakistan's submission to the Academy Awards. And thank you very much. Yeah, so best international feature film. Still a long journey ahead of us, but the fact that it's been chosen and an animated film was chosen on top of that is phenomenal. And I just have to say thank you to the amazing Pakistan Academy Selection Committee, and of course Mo Naqvi, who was a real champion for the film. And we met, through him at Cannes.
The magic of Cannes and Mo. So look, I don't want to hog Usman. I've been hanging out with him a lot. I'd love to open it up for the audience. All right, who has, okay, listen, I've been given command from the higher ups that you're not allowed to share your whole life story. That's what I have been told. So please just try and keep it concise as possible. And then I don't know if we have a mic or something going to folks. Thank you so much. All right, so I cannot really see anybody. Right here? There's a guy right over there. He's yelling at me. Oh, is that Hamza? Oh man, we're starting hard first.
Yeah, no, this is loud. So, no, my question was, the film was phenomenal, and, as I was, watching it, it very much felt I had the DNA of a Ghibli movie. Big fan of a lot of Hayao Miyazaki's works. But coming to the question, I was genuinely curious about the motif of the jinn and how that kind of played out and how that kind of relates to the end of the film with the spirit of Elise as she kind of pops out of the furnace. So I was just trying to really understand what went into that and what that was about, or is it open to interpretation, or if you could just kind of shed some light on that, if you would.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hamza.
So my favorite movies are the ones that actually trust the audience and give them kind of invites them into the world. And I wanted this ending to be open to interpretation. I wanted to mean whatever you want it to mean. The way I framed the jinn was that it's an unreliable narrator in the film. Is it there? Is it not there? Does Elise see it as well? Does she not? Is it just a glint of light that catches her attention? Is Vincent the only one seeing this? There is a canon explanation that I wrote for myself as to what is happening, but I don't want to give that away because quite frankly, when I've read people's theories online, some of them are so interesting that I'm like, wow, I should have thought of that. So mine is for myself just to kind of ground the world, and it informed how I structured everything and kind of planned the storyboards for the film. So I won't give that away. I'd like it to mean whatever you want it to mean. I hope that answer satisfies you. I know it's not giving any just concrete explanation for the ending, but that is how I intended it to be.
All right, next question. I see Rich is right here. He's got a great coffee shop, by the way, Menlo Park, San Francisco. I got you, man. All right. Oh, actually, never mind. I don't got you. They got somebody. Go ahead. Who's up there, and then I'll get you next.
Congratulations for the nomination. Congratulations for the release of this movie, and thank you for sharing it with us. What's next for Manu Animation Studios? What's next for you? We're very demanding fans, so always what's next.
Thank you so much. So I can speak about like what's happening with the film. So currently we have the release slated for Japan. They're going to be dubbing it in Japanese and releasing it early next year, which will be an experience for me um, because I grew up watching their films. So to see the Glassworker in Japanese would be very interesting. The Chinese release is coming up.
Quick question. You
Yes.
also, I don't know if any of you noticed, but Usman did a few of the voices in the film. So are you gonna do some Japanese voices?
No, I will,
Oh, okay.
hopefully not. I can speak Japanese like a 5-year-old. So.
Great.
I wouldn't do a good job, but I did a lot of the voice acting in the Urdu version as well, so that was fun. But in terms of just a wider release, we're working on getting it out there for more people to see. And of course, with this announcement, we have a lot of work ahead of us, so everything is kind of shifting towards making this potential campaign as successful as it can be. And in terms of what I want to do, well, I've developed the next project. It's there. I don't have the energy to do it again right now. And what I'm
10 more years.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh God, if it takes 10 more years, then I'm doing something wrong. So hopefully the next one won't take as long. But we'll see. I'm pretty tired from making this one. And when I think about it, when I think about the next one, my mind says no, but my heart says yes. So we'll see when I embark on that, and what I'm looking forward to is a long vacation.
All right, who is next? I did promise him right here. Go ahead, we can. You two right here. All right, go ahead first.
No. By the way, beautiful film. Loved it. It kind of reminded me of Disney mixed with Miyazaki mixed. It was like this new form of animation that you're starting because it's a lot of influences, but I can see that there's a heart to it, which is so you. So speaking of heart, do you have an Elise in your life this is inspired by where?
Oh yeah, he does. Oh yeah.
So, like I mentioned earlier, the studio is co-founded by Mariam, my wife. So we've known each other a very long time. We've known each other since we were 12. I'm 33 now. And we've been married for 9 years. So if there is an Elise in my life, it's her. But I think the film, because of the two characters are so close to what I do, which is I'm an artist and an animator, but I'm also a musician, composer. So the music stuff that Elise does in the film is very much inspired by my own experiences, the side of Vincent and his father, the craftsmanship, all of that is inspired by the animation and the drawing. So the two characters are like almost like I don't say a version of myself, but it's a conversation that I usually have with myself. So they're inspired by that primarily, but I like that explanation too.
So yeah, someone, if you didn't hear, he asked who is Elise inspired by. If you hear Usman, they started this film 10 years ago, and then a year later, I'm assuming Mariam's like, listen, you got to marry me. This is not going to be a short journey. Okay, we have room for 2 more questions. So I have one here, and then I'll get someone from the back. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Dani. I love the film.
Thank you.
I'm very inspired right now.
Thank you very much.
My question is, you wanted to go to Japan. I want to know a little bit more about like what made you go there, what festival you were like. You show your project there, and then you went to Ghibli. Can you elaborate more on that?
Sure. So the film.
She was asking, how did he even show up on Japan outside of taking a plane there? And how did he end up getting in the room with Ghibli?
The way, so in terms of film festivals, I didn't go to any film festival. The Glassworker just showed at the Hiroshima Animation Festivals this year. When I went to Japan in 2015, I went primarily through TED. There was a conference there.
Wait, if I may though, look.
Yes.
He was I found this out from another director. He told me, you're talking about Usman Riaz, the child prodigy. I was like, what? This guy was still is a musical genius that traveled around the world. So Ted would take him, and that's what led you, yeah.
Definitely. So I like Abu Bakr said, I've been playing music and drawing since I was a child. And in 2012, I was selected for TED. I gave a talk there that went went viral, like 5-6 million views. That allowed me to get selected as a senior fellow and keep attending the TED conferences. That shifted to Vancouver in 2014. In 2015, I convinced a man called Patrick Newell, who heads TEDx Tokyo, to let me come and just speak about my work there. And I was developing this film. I had a whole portfolio filled with drawings and animation, and I went to Japan and just spoke about it. It wasn't at a film festival. And the way I ended up at Ghibli, honestly, I don't know. Because that was the only place I don't like traveling that much. But Japan just was Studio Ghibli for me. I was like, I don't want to see anything but Studio Ghibli. And I went to Japan with that intention, with no idea how it would happen. And I gave my talk and went backstage, and I was telling Abu Bakr this on the way here. I thought I blew it because they didn't speak English, and they had like a live translation for all the audience members, so nobody really cheered or applauded, so I thought it was a disaster. And I was backstage, and I was like, just sitting there sulking that why am I here? This is never going to work. And I kid you not, someone knocked on the door, gave me their card, and said, we'll be seeing you tomorrow. And I looked down at the card, and I took a picture of it, and I just started crying because I'm getting tears right now because it was Shin Hashira from Studio Ghibli. I was like, what is going on? And then I wound up there, and I started crying when I saw the sign, when I saw the building. So yeah.
It's been such a pleasure hanging out with Usman, seeing that you shared something yesterday on the radio, and then we'll get to the final question because Pulkit's gonna kill me. But basically, you shared that they asked you, what would you say to someone young, right? What would you say to someone young that's doing something, right? And you talked about the friends of yours that you had that were also maybe playing music or animating. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, so somebody, what was the question?
They asked you, what would be some advice that you give to someone that, that has a craft, right? And then, go ahead.
I spoke about just perseverance because I'm extremely aware that to make a film like this, you have to come from a position of privilege, especially in Pakistan. So I'm very grateful that the hard work that my parents and their entire family did to get to a point where I could do something like this. So just acknowledging that right off the bat. But I remember being in school, everybody plays music in school. All the boys and girls were playing instruments, and everybody was extremely good at it. And I remember a lot of extremely talented musicians in school. Even though I had been playing since I was a kid, these people had just started and were so brilliant at it, and then later in life they stopped. Of course, life gets in the way and things become difficult, but I always wonder that because I kept going and I kept playing music and I kept doing everything that I was doing, I wound up at TED performing and speaking about my work when it could have been any one of us. Especially the level of musicianship that I saw amongst my peers. So I always wonder that, is it just because I kept going and didn't give up? So the advice I would give is just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let the world bring you down. I tend to have a very focused kind of tunnel vision about what I'm doing. The world doesn't matter, and we were discussing this on the way here, that it doesn't matter what people think. I'm on the greatest adventure that I will ever go on, and just don't give up and keep pursuing what you love.
And do we have room for a final question? Perfect. So, no question? Huh? All right, so the bosses have told me my time has come to an end, but action item. So as Usman has said, the film is now going to embark, inshallah, on this huge Oscar run, right? Pakistan has never had a feature film that's been Oscar nominated. South Asia, Pakistan, and India have never had a feature film win. Lagan was nominated, but it never won. So I guess what would be the best thing for all of the folks here to do to help on this run that you're about to embark on?
I think the most important thing is just to clarify two things. We're going to be in the international category, we're going to be running for that, and we're also going to be in the animation, and I'm hoping to apply for score, but let's see. I guess
Wait, was it a good score? Should you apply for score or no? Okay, I think you should.
So it's going to be a long journey, and I just would ask for everybody's support. It's going to be a difficult journey, and you can also please elaborate on what we'll need.
Oh, it's gonna be basically, look, I ran for city council in Vancouver when I was 2018, and I lost. Sad times. This is gonna be way, way harder than that. Because we basically need to raise a lot of money, and we also need to get as many people to watch this. So if you can, talk about this, tweet about it, go on Reddit, man. Reddit is popping. Do whatever you gotta do. Go on TikTok, but let the folks know about Glassworker, because now we're gonna start going to other cities across North America, probably the UK, and Usman is gonna be, on this crazy adventure. Yet again, there will be many tears, but hopefully happy tears. So thank you all so much for coming. And Usman will be outside.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say thank you to the amazing team at ISAF. Thank you so much for selecting this film and letting me be part of this festival. This is my first time here in Surrey, and I'm blown away by it. Just thank you for all the love and support. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
It could have been Tile Business Center. It could have. Or Newton.
Thank you.